I had a pretty big win the other day that I want to share with you. So 11 years ago, my ex-husband left me with a surprise text message. And just a few nights ago, my now husband sent me a text that simply said, "It's over." Now, I had no context for this text whatsoever. It turned out, though, he was actually referring to a television show that he had been watching. But here's the win. I received that text, no context. It's over. And I had zero emotional reaction. None. There was no voice in my head that thought about what that might mean. There was nothing in my mind that connected it to my past until later. And in fact, I responded in a light and humorous way, and we actually bantered about it for a short period afterwards. And it was such an amazing feeling to not have any sense of that old wound. Now, again, it took me 11 years, actually 11 and a half years before I had that experience. And just because I had that win, it doesn't mean that I'm done. It doesn't mean that I'm healed with a rubber stamp, close the book. It's never going to happen again, because that's not how recovery happens. I'm going to share a little story with you to illustrate how I see healing, how I see recovery. So over 20 years ago, when I first moved to Atlanta, I slipped on some ice and I suffered a severe ankle sprain. Severe enough that for the next 6 months, I was doing physical therapy for it. And in the beginning, this injury was acute. I had to brace that ankle. I could barely put any weight on it. The pain would keep me up at night. It was a focus of my day-to-day life because the pain was so intense and the weakness was so apparent. But I kept working on it. I kept rehabbing it. I kept building that strength. Over time, that inflammation decreased and it got better. And it no longer was something that I thought about every single day. But even now, 20 years on, I'm still aware of that injury. If I try to do a balance pose in yoga on that side, it's a little more unstable. When I'm running, sometimes that ankle has a tendency to give out on me. Most of the time, it's just there. It's just an awareness. I know that I have to be a little bit careful of it. Sometimes it's a little more intense. There's days I still have to pull the ankle brace out. There's times I still have to elevate it and ice it. But it's not anything that limits me. It doesn't hold me back. I don't say, I can't do these things anymore because my ankle was sprained 20 years ago. But at the same time, I can't undo that ankle sprain. I can't live as though it never happened. And that's how I see these emotional wounds as well. They happened. We can't ever live as though they didn't happen. In the beginning, it's acute. You have to put so much energy and attention into it. In the beginning, yes, it is limiting you. But if you put in that work, if you do that rehab, if you do that strengthening, it's not going to limit you so much anymore. You're always going to be aware of it. It's always going to be a part of your story, but it's not going to hold you back. And you're even going to experience those days when you don't think about it at all.